Good morning. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my opinion on wet noodles. Wet noodles are pens that are very, very flexible. And I used to not like that term, but now I realize that it is, in fact, the perfect term for pens of that type. I'm not sure that people that ask for wet noodles actually want them, though. They just want extra flexible nibs. Now, for me, a pen like this, which as you can see goes from thin to thick, most people might call this a wet noodle, but in fact it isn't. It's a very flexible nib, but the nib is fighting back. It's pushing back. You have to apply lots of pressure to get the thick line. So it actually is a very controllable pen. You press down, it presses back, you press down further, it presses back harder. It's very, very controllable. A wet noodle pen, by contrast, is one that does not push back at all, and consequently it's very hard to do anything with other than to make a big fat line. This pen here, it is like a paintbrush. You press down even just slightly and it gets fat. And it's so hard to actually do anything with it because it's so sloppy. Another one is here, I believe. No, that's not a wet noodle. Where's my other wet noodle? Yes, this is the other wet noodle. This is slightly less wet. It's pretty wet though. If you could put this on some sort of graph, it does not require any pressure at all really to make that thick line. But consequently, it's quite difficult to use, I think. But maybe not. Maybe I'll try it here. Let's see. It's just really sloppy. Whereas the first one I was showing you can get almost that thick, but you end up, it's so much more fun to use this pen because it actually works with you. The other one just gives in without any fight, and I'm always afraid I'm going to break it, and it is hard to control, really. They're all so different, these pens. They're all so very, very different. That's why I have to have so many of them. They just are so very different. Look at them all. And there's more. Oh well, enough said. Wet noodles, I guess they're okay. I've changed my mind right here on live camera here. I have changed my mind from not liking a wet noodle, not liking the name wet noodle, to, in fact, liking a wet noodle. So they are very hard to use, I think. Okay, enough said. Toodaloo.